There are two versions of Manchester City. If you watch them on the pitch, you see poetry. You see Kevin De Bruyne slicing a defense open with a single pass. You see Erling Haaland defying the laws of physics. You see the greatest football team in Premier League history. But if you look at the newspapers, you see something else. You see lawyers, you see leaked emails, you see a list of 115 charges of financial fraud. They are the yin and the yang of modern football. They are the Centurions, but they are also the cheaters. They are the treble winners, but they are also the defendants. Right now, in January 2026, the silence is deafening. The verdict of the trial of the century is finally imminent. But on the pitch, the perfect machine is finally starting to rust. Is this just the end of a golden era? Or is it the moment the entire empire burns to the ground? This is the story of how a mid-table club bought the world, and why they might lose it all. To understand the height of the empire, you have to remember the beginning. Before 2008, Manchester City was a joke. They were the typical city. They were famous for relegation and bizarre own goals. Their stadium was quiet. Their trophy cabinet was empty. Sir Alex Ferguson, the king of Manchester United, called them the noisy neighbors. He dismissed them as a small annoyance. But on September 1st, 2008, the world changed. The Abu Dhabi United Group arrived. Sheikh Mansour didn't just buy a club. He bought a lottery ticket that had already won. They didn't just want to compete, they wanted to dominate. On the very first day, they hijacked the transfer of Robinho from Chelsea. It was a statement. They spent money like water. They signed Carlos Tevez directly from their rivals. They signed Yaya Toure. They signed David Silva. But the moment the noisy neighbors became the landlords happened on October 23, 2011, Old Trafford, the theater of dreams. Manchester City didn't just beat United, they humiliated them. 6-1. Why always me? Mario Balotelli asked. It was the worst home defeat for United since 1955. It was a shifting of the tectonic plates. 7 months later, Aguero scored that goal. Aguero! City were champions. The joke was over. The dynasty had begun. But Sheikh Mansour wasn't just satisfied with winning, he wanted perfection. He knew that money could buy players, but it couldn't buy a philosophy. So he decided to play the long game. He didn't just want a manager, he wanted the manager, Pep Guardiola. But you cannot just call Pep Guardiola, you have to seduce him. Years before Pep arrived, City hired his best friends. They hired Chiqui Begiristain and Ferran Soriano, the architects of Barcelona. They built the City Football Academy, a £200 million facility that was better than Real Madrid's. They built the perfect environment. They built a Ferrari, parked it in the garage, and waited for the only driver who could handle it. In 2016, Pep finally said yes, and the Premier League would never be the same again. The English media laughed at him at first. They said, "You cannot play tiki-taka in England. It is too cold, it is too physical, you have to tackle." Pep didn't listen. He doubled down. He revolutionized the sport in this country. He took Fabian Delph and Alexander Zinchenko, midfielders, and turned them into inverted left backs. He took John Stones, a center back, and told him to play as a number 10. He played without a striker for 2 years and still won the league. The result was terror. The Centurions season. 100 points. A record that may never be broken. The domestic treble. And finally, the Holy Grail, the Champions League in Istanbul. For 6 years, Manchester City didn't just win, they strangled the life out of the Premier League. They turned the most competitive league in the world into a farmers' league. They were the white in the Yin Yang, pure footballing perfection. But for every light, there is a shadow. While Pep was building a masterpiece on the grass, investigative journalists were digging through the trash. German newspaper Der Spiegel released the football leaks. They published hacked emails that looked damning. They alleged that Manchester City was not just spending money, they were hiding it. These weren't small errors. These were calculated schemes to bypass financial fair play. Let's look at the specific charges. First, the Shano contract. Roberto Mancini was the manager who won them the first title. Officially, he was paid a normal salary, but leaked documents allegedly showed he had a second contract. He was reportedly paid millions more to be a consultant to Al Jazeera, a club in Abu Dhabi, also owned by Sheikh Mansour. The accusation is simple. They paid him off the books to keep their official spending low. Second, the sponsorship inflation. The rules say you can only spend what you earn, so City allegedly inflated their income. The emails suggest that money from the owner was disguised as sponsorship money from Etihad Airways. Imagine paying yourself but pretending it came from a sponsor. In February 2023, the Premier League dropped the bomb. 115 charges. Failure to provide accurate financial information, failure to cooperate, failure to follow UEFA rules. This is not a parking ticket. This is corporate fraud on a massive scale. City denies everything. They say they have irrefutable evidence, but the asterisk remains. Why does this matter? Why are people so angry? Because in sport, if one person cheats, another person loses. Ask Liverpool fans about the pain. In 2019, Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool earned 97 points. 97! In any other era, that is a title, but they lost by 1 point to Manchester City. In 2020, they lost by 1 point again. If City is found guilty, if it turns out they bought that extra depth, that extra star player using illegal money, then those titles were stolen. Liverpool was denied a dynasty. Jurgen Klopp was denied his rightful place in history. Ask Arsenal fans. They pushed City to the limit, but they collapsed because they couldn't match City's robotic depth. This is why the 115 charges are not just paperwork. They are stolen memories. They are parades that never happened. And now we look at the present day, January 2026. While the lawyers argue in court, the team on the pitch is finally looking human. We are seeing strange things this season. Defensive errors, midfielders getting overrun, Pep Guardiola sitting on the bench, not screaming but staring into space. The invincible aura is gone. Teams don't fear the Etihad anymore. They go there believing they can win. It feels like the end of a cycle. The golden era is fading naturally, just as the legal hammer is about to fall. So, how do we judge this team? This is the hardest question in football history. If they are found guilty, do we delete the memories? Does the Aguero goal stop being magical? Does the 100-point season stop being impressive? You cannot unsee the beauty of their football. You cannot deny that Pep Guardiola changed the way the sport is played. Every team in the world now tries to play out from the back because of him. But you also cannot ignore the unfairness. If they broke the rules to buy the players who played that beautiful football, is it art or is it a forgery? It's like looking at a beautiful painting only to find out the canvas was stolen. Does it make the painting less beautiful, or does it just make the artist a criminal? They are the best team in history, and they might be the biggest cheats in history. They are not black or white. They are Manchester City, and they are both.